Welcome to episode 1
Yes.
of our new show. She is Lais, and I am the coach, and that is the name of our show.
First of all, if there's ever been a time for personal bubble, this is it.
We will always stay true to what we do. What you're doing is going to get you to the next place.
Right.
Throw the list away. It's only a matter of time before you cave.
You can look way better than you used to.
Such a great experience.
Well, like it knows everything you've given.
Shown curiosity. What if it actually works?
I've been chopped down como persona.
100%.
An extra vitamin.
City right now. Sometimes it is a member.
Welcome, everybody. Peace out, everybody.
Welcome, everybody, to Lais and The Coach. And if I tell you that this is a special episode, I am underselling it. So a lot of you that have been watching and listening for a while know that I had GBS a while back. And I frequent a lot of the social media pages, and they're always sharing inspirational stories and different things that are happening to people in the Guillain-Barré community. And a couple of weeks ago, they posted our guest today that had Guillain-Barré like I did and went on to win her IFBB Pro Card after overcoming what we are going to find out is an incredible story, because I've shared mine. And I think this is the first time that we have somebody on that is going to share their story.
Yeah.
And we are going to get to interact on sharing notes on how it all went. So welcome to the show today. Can you introduce yourself to everyone?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, you guys, for having me. My name is Semret Russom. I am IFBB Pro in the fitness industry. I'm also a mom, married to my amazing husband. I'm a business owner. I live in San Diego, California, but I'm originally from Africa, Eritrea, which is northeast of Africa. So I'm the first to ever compete in the fitness industry.
Amazing. Amazing.
That's so cool.
And
Wow,
of course,
so
I'm, GBS survivor, which is huge.
So we have a lot to unpack. Let's start with, were you in the fitness space before you got GBS, or was it something that came after?
Yeah, I basically started, I was always a gym rat, like all of us, right? My journey started with bodybuilding in 2012, and I was prepping for 2013. So I was competing, throughout before I got sick into 2017. So yeah, I competed in Pittsburgh. I was supposed to be like getting my pro card that weekend. I got really sick, obviously, prior to that 3 weeks in the show, thinking like my body's just run over, like don't have energy, my immune system and all that. So I got sick, after my show.
Right after your show. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess it was 10 years ago, we used to own a gym in Miami. And one of the many, many things that I thought about to generate more clients is I'm going to compete in the show, and I'm going to document everything at our gym to kind of like share the transformation. And it was like a bucket list thing, and I wanted to do it. So I was like, all right, great. So I'll document this whole thing on YouTube, share everything that I'm doing. And I want to say I recorded myself signing, paying, and like 3 weeks later, I got a really bad cold. I got a really bad flu, one of the worst one I've ever had. And it just knocked me out.
Yeah.
We were moving, we were painting the gym at that time, we were remodeling, we had a 6-month-old baby, and I was just laid out. I couldn't stand. And then I don't like the doctor, so I never went. And then we went to urgent care, and I'm like, I've got to have like strep throat or something. This is really bad. Like I drank so much NyQuil, DayQuil, like nothing. And they tested me for strep throat. They're like, no, it just looks like a bad infection. And they gave me prednisone. And like in 2 or 3 days, I was better. And then about a week after that, like my arm started to tingle a little bit. And I didn't feel any numbness, but there was tingling in my arm. And I sleep like this all the time. So that was normal, but I just couldn't get rid of it, right? So I went to the gym, I went to the sauna. I'm like, I probably pinched something in my back. And I'm not going to tell her because she's going to say, stop training so hard. Like,
I'm going to freak out. I'm the dramatic one.
So then the next day, the other arm, and then little by little, it got worse. I'm like, wow, I really messed myself up here. Let me not stop training. let me just see what I can keep doing. And then progressively got worse until, you know, I couldn't open a bottle cap. I couldn't walk upstairs, and I still hadn't said anything to
Wow.
her.
Yeah.
So
He thought he like pinched something. He's
I
like, I pinched
swore
something when I was
I had
working
pinched
out.
something.
Yeah.
So progressively worse. How did your beginning stages go?
That's so crazy. We have kind of similar the way it started. So obviously I was doing prep. I wanted to get my pro card. I've been at it for like a few months prepping for a show. And I got sick with the flu, like cold. I thought it's 3 weeks prior to my show. And I was like talking to Kim Otto, who is my coach. And I was like, you know, I don't feel good, but I think I'm just tired. He said, just get some stuff from over the counter. I did that. What happened was it got worse each day. And I like you said, you knew you had something was off. And I keep like getting this airplane, you know, that's how I can describe it when you've been sitting in this uncomfortable chair for a long time and your leg is numb. And that's how I felt. And I was like, I'm just overtraining. I'm tired. And I went to Pittsburgh knowing I was really sick. I remember I had a roommate with my girlfriend and we share a room. And I told her, I don't feel good. I just didn't feel good the night before. And she was like, girl, you've been working hard, too much cardio, all that stuff that we blame on things. I did my show knowing that I was like, I could have won my pro card. That was this huge thing. I got first call out, but I was sick. I was really sick. And I knew like inside of me, I was like, I don't know what it is. Is it pneumonia? It's turning to something. I didn't go to the doctor because I didn't want to stop me from my show. So I came back from doing Pittsburgh show. Obviously, I didn't get my my pro card. I came back. I flew into San Diego from that day. And that week was my birthday. And my parents wanted to celebrate my birthday. And I said, well, I had a photo shoot on Friday that I scheduled when I came back. I literally was like getting sicker by the minute. And I like my feet just feels like not myself, but I'm just like, you know, maybe it's because of water retention. It's just like, you know, all that stuff that we tell ourselves when you're doing shows. I did my photo shoot Friday, Saturday. I didn't feel good. I went out to dinner Sunday with my family. Sunday night, I was single, living by myself. I had this massive thing I couldn't breathe, like in my chest. Like it just feel weird. My hands my fingers start to tingle. My feet start to tingle. I was like, I ignored it. Got up the next morning. I went to the gym because I was like, it will help me.
That's just what someone does.
Yeah, like 5 o'clock in the morning, I went to do cardio because I thought maybe it will like get rid of whatever I was doing.
Get rid of it.
Yeah. I remember like I did Stairmaster and I got up from it and I hit the floor. It felt weird. I was like, what does it feel? My feet, that just feels weird. I got home. I took a shower. I was trying to get out of my shower. I almost fell out of my, getting out. I ignored it. At that time, I was working in the hospital. I went to work. And I went to work within like half an hour of me working. I lost like my feeling to my feet. It starts to get blocked, like dark, you know, and one of the nurses said, just go relax in the back. And I said, I'm having trouble breathing. She goes, go to downstairs, the hospital that I was working at. I get there. I waited 2 hours for them. They were so busy they can take me in. And I say, you know what, forget it. I'm gonna drive myself to the hospital, my doctor. I went to Kaiser. I got there. I drove by the grace of God. I don't even know how I got there. And I get to ER. That's when they did all kinds of tests. Of course, when you're bodybuilding, I'm a natural athlete. The doctor was like, well, she must be doing drugs. You know, they had to do all this kind of stuff. By the time the test came back, I couldn't feel my legs. They asked me to give urine test. And I was like, oh, sure. I tried to get up. I couldn't move it. And it was rapidly happening. And then she was like, oh, nothing is wrong with, she couldn't see the doctor, the night doctor. She couldn't see like anything. Everything was fine. She gave me a breathing treatment. She goes, I'm going to release you in the morning. There's nothing that we can find. And my body is like a balloon. It keeps getting like so big. And I'm like, this is not normal. I never had that feeling of dying. That's when I felt that night. And then a new doctor came who was my angel. And I say, hey, let me just show you how I looked on Friday. and let me just show you what I look like. Look at my body and look at what happened. This is not normal. He goes, I'm going to redo everything, the whole test. And he goes, there's nothing that indicates, but let's involve neurology. That's how he saved my life. And I was like, couldn't move. Everything started to happen. So they had to rush me to, you know, ICU, 20 days in ICU, you know, going through recovery, all that crazy mess.
Wow. Yeah.
The
So
same happened with you.
so
They didn't know what it was.
I
either.
went to, I was still teaching. We taught boot camp classes at our gym.
Yeah.
And I went to church Sunday.
Yeah.
And by the time I got out, I couldn't go down like the 3 or 4 flights of stairs, but I still went to teach. And then I went to the bathroom to change, and I couldn't change my pants. I was going to change jeans into sweatpants, and I couldn't. And she's like, "You really got to go to the hospital." I'm like, "All right, I'll go." And same thing. They ran tests, nothing, MRI. My brain was great. And then I was like, "I want to go home." They're like, "You have to see a neurologist."
Yeah.
And it was Martin Luther King weekend. We didn't have babysitting for the kids. I'm like, I can't stay till Tuesday, or like I have to work. And like, you can't sign yourself. I'm like, I gotta leave. So I signed myself out. They were
Wow.
so upset
They
with
were
me.
mad.
And then every day it got progressively worse until Wednesday night. I slept on the couch because I couldn't push myself up anymore to have her help me get up.
The first couple nights, I was like, okay, can you crawl?
Like we would rock.
You up?
I couldn't crawl either. Like I couldn't crawl to the bed. And I went to see a chiropractor first, of course, because I swore it was my back.
You tear.
Like,
I get it.
it.
And then when Thursday, we decided to go to the hospital. Same nurse, same doctor. They're like, "Are you gonna stay?" And I said, "I'm gonna stay." In my mind, I'm like, through the weekend, no more. And then they ran the test again. Neurologist came in. The second they diagnosed GBS, sent me to
ICU
immediately.
Immediately.
That night, this side of my face dropped. I had some palsy, but I was like just still.
Yeah.
And the problem, like they didn't really have an answer because they knew the diagnosis, but no one really knew what to say was going to happen next. And I think that was the worst feeling for me.
That
like,
was horrible feeling. Yeah.
my hero of the weekend, and they're like, it's gonna,
paralyzed
they said
forever.
it's gonna be a while. I'm like, I need a number. Like, is
Yeah.
it a while a week? Is it a while a month? Like,
Yeah.
it was horrible.
So what was that trajectory like for you? So you're in ICU. Did you ever have to get intubated or anything like that?
So because the grace of God, they got me in like where my body was completely, like you said, my face was getting like really, really numb, where I can't even feel the back of the tongue. Everything was kind of getting there. I got there when the doctor transferred me immediately, where I didn't have to get intubated. But it is just a matter of time. If they had kept me there, that would probably happen.
Yeah.
But not knowing, like you said, it's just like, I'm an athlete. What do you mean I can't move? I can like, you know, like that mindset of being an active person. What do you mean like I'm paralyzed? What does that mean? Like I have to be in a wheelchair? What do you mean I have to learn how to walk? My brain could not accept it. I'm sure you felt the same way. I just remember feeling like, are they crazy? Because I know I'm not paralyzed. I drove myself here. Like, I literally was telling my neurology doctor, I was like, you guys are crazy. I drove myself. I would remind them.
Oh yeah, I remember the first morning was a Friday, and I was like, you know, am I going to be out by Monday? Like, as long as I get out by Monday, I don't mind taking a few days. They looked at me, they said, Monday.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a while.
One doctor said, you're never going to be the same again.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, you don't know me. Like, But I stayed in ICU for about a week. They did IVIG on me at ICU, and then they moved me over to a physical therapy hospital.
Oh wow! Okay.
For a month, but like I guess I was in ICU for a week, and then the very first day that I got to the physical therapy hospital, they wanted to like get me to get up, and I hadn't stood up in like 10 days.
Yeah.
And they put me in physical therapy right away.
Yeah.
They're like, we're getting up today, and I'm like, shit, I'm game. Like,
yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
So, and then they said, so you're gonna do physical therapy 90 minutes every day, and you're gonna do occupational therapy like to pick up stuff for 90 minutes. And I'm like, I said to myself, I'm like, great, 2-a-days. I'm gonna work out in the morning, work out in the afternoon. And the thing was like, when can I leave? Like, what are
Yes.
the
Would
parameters?
that be normal?
Right. So they were like, if you can get on the floor
Yeah.
and crawl back into your wheelchair, you can go home. And I said, wow, I'm not leaving like good. Like,
I know.
Maybe like a handicap. 'Cause
Wow.
That's how we left. So how is it for you?
Oh my gosh. So like for me, at least you had a wife, right? I was single. I had, of course I have my parents who are older in their 70s, then early 70s. But when I remember Dr. Neo said, just so you know, it's going to be a while, because I was in ICU. I almost died. Like I was quoted like 4 hours. I was out, like, it was a lot happening, even though I didn't get intubated. So it attacked me a lot, that it was scary in a way. And every day they would tell me it's going to take time. Like, you got to be patient. I was like you. I just wanted to get out. Like, I just don't want to be here. And can I just do it at home? Like, whatever it is, can I just go home? They're like, no, I'm sorry. Like, you still have to be in ICU. You got to be observed. And then you got to go to regular floor. And then you got to go to rehab. Like, they were giving me a list that meant like forever to me. I was like really not myself. But something inside me, when they said, you're going to be on a wheelchair, you have to learn how to walk, I didn't believe them. Even though it was my reality, I had this thing, like, I checked out whatever they were telling me. I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to be here.
I'm a bikini competitor.
I was like, what are you talking about, right? Talking about me. But so it was, I think I was delusional at times, because I didn't want to believe that I was paralyzed, although it was. And then I had the ugliest room. It was a corner. It was brick. There's no life around me. All I see is another building. It's a brick window. And I was just like, God, just get me out of here, please. And 20 days later, I begged them to take me outside. I just want to hear noise, cars, human beings. I wanted.
Yeah, they wouldn't let me out.
They wouldn't. Like, I begged this doctor, even against another doctor, she sent me out for 20 minutes with my heart monitor and everything. And I have that picture with my mom. I don't know if you've seen it, on a wheelchair outside. That's the day that I was like, oh my God, I'm in heaven. I can feel the air. But it was really shocking for a long time for me. Like, even when I was in ICU, I still didn't process it as what they were telling me was happening to me. How could this happen from a flu to now? I can't move. They have to use the Hoyer lift. Did you use that?
Yeah.
Where they lift you up and put you in the commode, and somebody else had to wipe my butt, and it was the most humiliating.
Crazy, right?
That was
like grown
the
adult,
lowest, right? And I was like,
crazy.
oh, that was like crazy. That was crazy to me. But yeah, oh my God, just going back to that moment right now is just crazy.
So for me, I left. I was in the hospital for a month, and then but I was training. I would go through the hallway and I would see people in their rooms that didn't want to come out. Yeah. And in my mind, I'm like, why do you want to stay here? Like, yes. I'm dying to get out. Yes. So 30 days that
you were 10 in ICU and then 30 in the other.
So then I was like, I got to get in and out of this wheelchair. That was like every day. Like, how do I get in? How do I get out? Like, so they sent me home, and a week later I had a relapse. Yeah, and you weren't ready. Literally went from being able to get in and out of the wheelchair to completely paralyzed again, like from the beginning. Yeah. Back to the hospital. They did plasmapheresis for 10 days. And then I left after those 10 days, kind of where I left off the first time. So I was back in a wheelchair. I can get in and out.
Definitely more mobile than the IVIG.
And then a week after that, full relapse again, completely paralyzed. And then the neurologist said, there's nothing else I could do for you. You need a new doctor. He dropped us.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So he said, you can go down to this other hospital, like a university hospital, that has all the doctors that are fighting.
He's like, because I would do all the calls like to insurance and to doctors, and you know, I was like, and he's like, I don't know what to tell you. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean you don't know what to tell me? He's like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're gonna have to look for another doctor. I really don't know what's happening. And I'm like, what?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So
It was a nightmare.
So I end up in this hospital like yours, black room. My roommate was handcuffed to his bed because
Oh
it was like,
no.
oh, it was
Fun times.
fun. He had a baby like that's breastfeeding, like oh, and then they ran every possible. I saw all the doctors, at
Yeah.
least 10 different neurologists. They tested me for cancer, HIV, all the blood dysfunction. They tested me for everything. I
Yeah.
had to have a second nerve conductor test because they couldn't find the results from the first one, all to end up and say like, "Yep, it's Guillain-Barré."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Great.
Wow.
Why does it keep happening?" You know?
Yes. Can we find out? Yeah.
So then they gave me a prescription for IVIG to get at home, physical therapy, and then we found like a specialist in Miami that was doing studies on IVIG, and
Yeah.
he wrote me an open prescription, and he
Oh,
said the best thing that you could do is try to like I would get somebody a nurse to come over every 30 days. He
yeah.
said try to space it. You know, if you don't think that you need it, try to go another week. Try to go another week.
Yeah.
And the first like 3 months I did it, and
Yeah.
then I spaced it out like 2 weeks, and then I was fine. I did it again,
Yeah.
and I had a trip. I was gonna go to Dallas for a Tony Robbins event,
Oh
and
my.
I was like, I don't want to be in Texas and this happened to me and I get stuck. So
Right.
I'll get IVIG, and then we had a couple months after that another trip. We were going to Puerto Rico, and I was like, I don't want to get stuck in Puerto Rico like this. And
Yes.
we came back. That was the last time that I had the treatment, and that was like 8 years ago, right? 8 years?
Wow.
Like
So we kind of got sick around the same time.
Yeah, 20, it was like January 2016.
Mine was like September 2017.
okay, so I was coming out of mine, and you were starting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it was physical therapy, and then physical therapy was a waste of time because they weren't really doing anything. They were just going through the motions.
Yeah.
So I tried to do a little bit more. Like I would count how many steps I took. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll take 10 more tomorrow. Progressive overload, right? It's like
Yes.
do a little
Yes.
bit more. I'll do one more set, one
Yeah.
more rep, 3 more pounds, and I just did it like that until you know.
Well, I think it's one of those things where like not many people know what it is, including doctors.
That's
So
yes.
it's like no one really knows how to guide you, you
Or
know?
what to do.
I think that's the issue that I went to a seminar, and that's the issue that they still don't know. Like they give you general, but they still don't know. They're still trying to figure out. They're still doing researches, and so it's so crazy because when I had my daughter, it came back again.
Really?
Yes.
That's what I was
So
gonna ask you. So what happened after you recovered? How did it go?
so from the first time I got out of the hospital, I had to go to rehab for like 3 weeks. I did six months of outpatient.
Okay.
Picking up things, and because they like I couldn't drive, my license was taken away from me, and I had to live with my parents. My older parents have to help me like shower and like do things, take me to doctor's appointments and stuff. But what I used to do when I moved to my parents' house, I would take Uber to 24-hour fitness. And you should see me. I'm like this old lady. I have a walker. I have the hospital bags. I have like things, and I'm dragging. And then these Uber guys are looking. I'm like, what the hell? What's wrong with her? And I was like, can you take me to the gym?
Oh
Wow.
my God.
I
love that.
I would show up
Yeah.
to teach classes with my walker.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
when I got tired, I would sit in my chair, but I didn't want
I-
to stop.
I
I just didn't want to stop.
I think for me, the same way. For me, being at the gym, I can do. I had to go regular rehab, and then going to the gym was like for my mind. I wanted to be where I love. I wanted to be with people that I used to see training. And when I was in ICU, I used to imagine me doing the stairs, doing shows back. Like I had to escape. That's what I did, right? And never really okay. Okay, thank you. Sorry, my mom is asking me. And so, anyways, I would go to the gym, and I would only do the sitting down bikes because I can't even do. Even then, I couldn't feel a lot of my legs was still numb, And but you know what? It gave me this happiness that I can't explain. And like I am there, people are looking at me like, what happened to her? You know, like I didn't care. I was like, I didn't see me as disabled. I don't care what they think. I'm just gonna go and be there. And I kept doing that for months at a time. And then I met Brett Contreras. Do you guys know?
Yeah.
He had a gym in PB. My husband and I were walking to the beach, and he goes, then I was transferring to a cane, and because I would walk and then I would lose my balance. It was like crazy, right? If I'm sitting for so long, I can get up, I will get numb. And then he was like, what are you trying to do? I was like, I'm going to see. And I walked in all these fitness influencer fit girls. And I'm like, try to get in with my walker, with my cane to ask him. I felt like, oh my God, I don't belong here. And he was so nice. He was like, walk on, come on in. And I was like, this is probably crazy, but I told him my story. And I really wanted to see if I can come and do your group training. He was like, absolutely, come back. And I would go to his class in the afternoon, and all the girls, they have no idea what they did for me. Like, they were my motivation. You know, I would go in, I would stumble, and some of them have to help me. Brett used to help me. Some of the trainers that were there would help me. But I was just psyching my mind. I was like, I need to be here. This is what I need, you know? And I told Brett, I was like, hey, my goal is to walk without a cane when I go to Africa to see my family. And he was like, okay, that's it. We had like 6 months to go to do that. And my mom wasn't living with me then. And they were just, you know, far away. Like, they hear their story. They just think I'm in a wheelchair for life. And I had that goal in mind. And my first thing was, I want to go see my mom so that she can be okay. And I trained with him. I had like a lot of issues, a lot of pain, but I finally was able to, I still have to have my cane because I would just randomly lose my balance. I went to Eritrea to see my mom. And I didn't have I told my husband, then my fiance, I told him, you got to hold this. I want her to see me without it. I was like, refused for her to have this picture of me walking with a walker or anything. And when I hugged her, and she just fell in my arms. She was just like, we were both sobbing. But it was like such a process, right? It's just, it was a lot.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that.
And then how long between that and the time that you decided, I think I'm going to prep again?
Yeah, crazy me. So I came back from Eritrea.
That's what you do, right? Isn't that what?
It literally is. You gotta be delusional, right? So I came back from Eritrea, and I was like, I had this thing that I was like, God, if you just give me the strength to do it, I will always share my story. I will always represent you. I was always like a faithful, I love God, and God has done so many things for me. Obviously, He saved our life. Mm-hmm. And I was like, is it crazy to think that I could do it? And I called Kim when I came back, and I told him, hey, I'm not 100%, but I want to do it just to be on stage again. And then he was like, of course, you could do it. And I started prepping for a show when I came back. I came back in like September, and I did my first show around like December, I want to say, December 3rd even. Oh my God, yeah.
You came right back into prep.
Yes, I came back, and I was like, I told my mother that I was going to do a show, and she was like, don't hurt yourself, I was like, no. So I did my first show coming back from being, recovery. And then someone said, hey, there's a pro qualifier show. I did my first show with muscle contest, and then it was a week later. And the guy goes, but it's in Georgia. I was like, oh, I've never been to Georgia. I'll go. And not knowing. And my husband goes, Georgia? I was like, yeah, America, Georgia. And he was like, no, it's in Russia.
Oh my God.
I swear to you, I had no idea. It was like Georgia. It used to be old Russia. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I'm like calling the promoter, and he was like, oh yeah, it's in Russia. Oh, it used to be Russia or something. But you know what? I had no fear. I knew it was from God. And I said, okay, but why am I so calm about it? And I said, okay, God, I'm going to walk. I'm going to have faith. I'm going to go. I kid you not. I was probably the only Black person on that plane when I arrived.
Wow.
It's like,
I love it.
And I got there, and they were just so loving, and it was amazing. And so I got my pro card there.
Wow.
Yes. I was like,
Wow.
I don't know why, but I'm
I-
gonna show up.
Love that.
I'm obsessed.
Yes.
Talk about
God's
like
work, first of all.
opening the door and seeing if you're gonna walk through. Right?
Yes.
Like how like you want this, here it is. All you gotta do.
I didn't know. And I was like, okay, God, like I said I wanted it, but I had to go to Russia to do it. Okay.
Because we have free will, right? But it's like, how many things do we miss because we're not
Yes.
paying attention, because we're not connected, because we're not
Yes.
praying? And again, it isn't about religion. It's what you said. It's like just being
Yeah.
connected to the source, right? So
Yeah.
like pay attention to what's happening.
And trusting.
And I
And
trusted him. I was like, God, I'm blind. I'm gonna walk, and I trust you. I believe that this is from you. And I literally had this calmness, like this whole. I can explain what it was, and I was like, there. I was like, okay, I'm in this random hotel by myself. I walked outside. I don't speak the language, but people were just so lovely. It was so nice, right? I was like,
That's
okay. And then I did the show. It was the longest show ever because they have millions of bodybuilding guys competing from all over, like the Arab and all the different areas. And then when they call my name, by the way, I had this out of body experience. I thought they made a mistake, and I was like, we were so exhausted. It was such a long day. And then they called me, and I was like, wait, maybe I got second. That's what I kept saying. Well, probably got second, but I was like, whatever, still good. And then they said the winner, and I was like, wait, God, is this for real? Like I was like in shock.
Wow.
That's amazing. I love
It was
that.
all credit to God. It was just it really, it was like God was just moving the mountains for me.
I love that.
Incredible.
I love that.
Incredible. What a testament though to the fitness community and to having the gym and having this. We always talk about when you become an adult, you don't have a thing, right? When you're a kid, you have sports, you have music, and kids always have things that they participate in. But then when you
Yes.
become an adult, you don't have a thing anymore. You have work and you have your family. And we always tell people like, this can be your thing, right? Like you have a community of people that want to look better, feel better, get on stage, do their best. And what a testament to being involved and kind of like letting yourself be led through that.
And even something to strive
That's what
for.
happened. Go ahead.
To strive for, because again, as adults, the thing to strive for becomes like the next promotion at work or the next business idea or the next whatever, right? It's not really personal. And
Yes.
having a goal like this, it's like when you're a kid and you're like, I want the next karate belt, or I want the next dance level, or the next instrument, or whatever. I want to play here, I want to do that. It's like you get to like work on things that you can strive for and look forward to doing. And your story is incredible because of even where the before of it, right? It would have been impressive to begin with. It would have been impressive with no GBS.
Right.
Thank you.
But yeah, wow.
That's amazing. That's
So
amazing.
it was purely it's all God, credit to God, and first of all give us a chance to live again and to be able to share us, our stories, to share to people, to give them hope that there's possibility. People who are in the midst of it right now as we speak, GBS survivor and doing like all that. And I think that's why you're very outspoken about it, and I am too, more than my IFBB Pro is like, for me, it's like surviving. That was, that changed my life forever,
Forever.
It's still like, I look back and I was like, how did it has to be God. How did I get here? Yeah.
It's the only way to describe it. And then you hadn't gotten pregnant yet, right? So you hadn't had a baby.
No,
Okay.
no. So look at the miracle God is doing. First of all, I met this amazing, handsome, my husband now, with a cane as I was going to 24-hour fitness for.
I was gonna ask you that. I didn't want to be rude, but you're like, I'm walking with. At first, you're like, I didn't have a husband when I went through this. You're like, I'm walking with a cane in front of Brett's gym, and I'm like, wait, you were dating someone when you were like recovering? That's God for real.
Let me just tell you a quick story. Like my parents I moved into my apartment after, because I kind of lied to them. I said, I could do it. I was falling in my apartment by myself, but I needed to feel like my old self. So I moved in. I would go to the gym. So at Christmas Day, my parents, they were all sick and I couldn't be around them. I spent it by myself. My best friend was supposed to come and visit me with her kids to see me. She didn't show up because she got busy. So I literally got so sad for myself. I cry myself to bed. I pray to God. And I was like, God, what did I do to you? Why am I, feeling sorry? How come I'm like single? I don't have my family. I don't have that, all that, I went to sleep, woke up like nothing happened last night. I went to the gym, did it, my normal cardio. I was leaving with my king, and there was an escalator. It's called Horton Plaza. He was in front of me. I'm a hairstylist. I do other stuff, but he had a hair. I was like, oh my God, he has cute hair. I'm not kidding. I said that. He turned around at the same time. And I was like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. I said it out loud, but he didn't hear me. He waited for me. He was like, oh my God, what happened to you? I've known you for 11 years. I always thought you were like, this Olympian runner or something like that. He thought I ran track. And I was like, oh, good. He didn't hear me. That's fine. He was like, as we're going to the car, he just had a coffee with his friend. I would like to know what happened to you. I said, it's not a car accident. I was sick, long story. And he goes, can I give you my number? We can go for a coffee. I was like, oh, sure. Like both of us didn't think anything of it. I was like, okay, fine. He gave me his number. I gave him, we exchanged 4 numbers. And we're walking away to the car. I call my best friend, like when he left. Even though you left me hanging all day long, maybe he will be my future husband. I just find like this guy, I gave him my phone number when we went coffee. So 2 days later, we went for coffee, and I feel like, who's this guy like with me on a cane? And, like I'm freaking disabled. Why are you with me? Right in my head. And he's like, we talked for 3 hours, guys. Like we know each other for life, right? He went on his work thing. That's the only way we got separated. Then he asked me officially on a date. And then there you have it. And we're married with our daughter is 5 years old. And
it's amazing.
It's all God. It's
all
Listen, I always say none of the things that have happened to us since could have happened without that. So if I needed to go through it, then that was part of the story.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so then fast forward, you have your daughter.
Yes.
And then what happened?
And then you said you got it again.
So I got pregnant, and I was like, oh my God, what a miracle. How did this happen? Because I was like, maybe I won't have a baby. Anyways, I get pregnant. They had to do C-section because of, past illness. They were like, we need to monitor you. She needs to come out 2-3 weeks early. And I said, okay, fine. They did that. Boom, it came back. But they were already prepared because somehow stress sometimes brings it back. So of course it did. I did therapy. They gave me IVIG, and then I had to do outpatient for like 2 weeks. My daughter was discharged. I was still in the hospital after I gave birth, and I was so sad. I was like, oh my God, I can't carry my child. This thing is coming back again, But it wasn't as bad as the first one. So they cut it. It worked for me quickly, and then.
Yeah.
I
tell them that all the time. I'm like, obviously we never want this to happen again, but there's a piece that I feel just knowing what it is.
It is.
And knowing how you can solve it, because that is the most agonizing part of this whole thing. And obviously it didn't happen to me, but I was there, right? So it's like just not knowing, not having answers, not like, because the first time it happened, that was my first question. I'm like, is this ever going to happen again? If somebody catches a cold, should he not be around them? And they're like, it's never going to happen again. And it happened 2 other times, right? So it's like, it's obviously horrible no matter when it happens, but at least knowing what it is and knowing that you can fix it and knowing what it feels like and you should go fix it immediately is already like such a blessing.
Yes, it really is. I think that's the lesson, right? At least we know what it is now. And I mean, I don't know if you have any leftover issue, but I struggle with neuropathy pain. My left foot is never the same.
My feet are still numb. My feet are numb. Like I can feel if you touch it, but it feels like pins and needles all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. And I get cramps, and I get like every so often I'm like, oh, that feels weird,
Yes.
Do you still have that? Do you still have some like PTSD where you're like, oh my God, is this happening?
Oh yeah. I think especially like, when the pain gets really rough, and I was like, oh Lord, because they gave me topical. I was like, I'm not going to be on medication for life. So just forget about that. And so they gave me the lotion that you topical you put on. So if it's really, really bad, I will put that on. But it's just every night, you know how it is, like that. I'll take this than what we went through, right?
For sure. Any day. And then, so what's next for you? Like, what's in the horizon for you? Like, more shows? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, right. Like just I think for me, I love the aspect of not the stage part. I love the achieving the goal, right? From A to B. Like for me, that is like the most incredible journey because that's when you really you test yourself, like, you know, your emotional, physical, and all that. Yeah, so more shows and, you know, being the first Eritrean woman to be IFBB Bikini Pro, I would like to go to Olympia. Now I'm masters, either master or open, you never know, you know.
Of course.
I
Of course.
love
That's
that.
amazing.
What an amazing goal. I know you can do it because you've done it all.
So we interview a lot of competitors, and one of the things that we always ask is for the person that is on the fence, that is thinking about competing, they're like, I think I want to, I'm not sure if it's for me. Like after going through everything that you've gone through and obviously sharing how much the gym meant to you, what do you say to someone like that?
Go for it. There's like something about doing a show that teaches you about yourself like no other education. You can go all the degrees you want to, but this is a different level. I say go for it.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
so awesome. You
Yeah.
know, it's interesting because I always ask, like, my last question is always, what has been the most impactful thing about this entire competition journey to you, right? But you're a little bit different because, I mean, you probably have so many impactful things
Yeah.
from meeting your husband to seeing what you're made of, you know? So it's a hard, I know it's a loaded question, I think, for someone like you, but if we stayed on the competition, let's do it two parts. Let's do it from the competition standpoint. What was the most impactful thing? And then from going through your entire health journey, right? Like, what was the most impactful thing that came out of that?
God, I think the impactful from my health that I went through, it would have to be like that I am capable and like with God, right? And it impacted me in a way like I'm never the same, right? But my journey from that had opened up so much in my life. Like I'm able to see in a different lens, right? When I see certain things, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I even like if you see random people on a cane, like you recognize that struggle. If I see somebody on a wheelchair, oh my God, I recognize that. And so for me, that impacted so much. Being told to be on a wheelchair, like you, that label is like it changes you, right? So to me, that was like a big thing for competition. I think for me is like to open up doors for, because I come from a culture that's really taboo. Like we're not Muslim, but we're like Orthodox Christian. A woman is supposed to be covered head to toe. You know, you're not supposed to be like exposing your body part. But I had to dig deep into like what I want out of that. And so for me was, how do I change women in our culture, how to take care of themselves, right? So I like, to me, the impact that people tell me like I changed their life because of you did this, and I'm now going to the gym, and like, or you know, kids, some young generation wanting to compete. And it's like, you know, I think getting back from that makes me it impacts you, right? From the view, you do it for you, but then you realize that you're doing it for others too.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Over the years, we've had a lot of people that listen to the show because of the GBS thing, and they find me, you know, on social media, and a lot of times they'll send questions in. But I think if you're listening or you're watching, and you've got GBS or CIDP or anything neurological, I think that the message is still, you just got to keep going, right? I think
Yes.
that the key always has been and always will be, like, just don't stop. You know, whatever you can do, keep doing what you're doing, but
Yeah.
try to do, you know, push yourself a little bit more to get a little bit more out of it, and don't rush. Give the body an opportunity to heal and do what it's going to do, because if you give it enough time, I know at the beginning no one wants to hear it's going to take time,
That was
but on the other side of that, it's never as long as it actually is, right?
yeah. Yeah.
I think in retrospect, if that night they would have said it's going to take you a year to heal, I would be like, oh my God, like, for
Right. Yeah.
worse. But in
Yeah.
retrospect, you know, it's almost been 10 years for me. So
And when it's opened up after, you know.
And for sure, like the perspective, the insight, the empathy, the patience. Nothing will teach you how to be patient like not being able how to walk. The ability to communicate. I tell a lot of my clients, you know, my definition of can't is very different than yours. Because I couldn't do stuff, right? You don't want to do stuff. That's not the same, right?
Absolutely different.
But it allows me to leverage it, and so that I can get my message across in the best of ways. You know, and I used to never talk about it. As a matter of fact, a lot of people are like, you should share your story more, and I wouldn't share a lot, not because I felt bad. It's like I don't want anybody to feel bad, or like, listen, I went through it and I'm on the other side of it. But I think as I've shared more, I've seen how it can help so many people. So I appreciate you sharing your story with us. I appreciate you on the show. It's definitely been an amazing conversation to hear the similarities in the stories, and I really do hope that if anybody's listening or watching, that they draw something from that.
Oh, me too. First of all, thank you so much. To talk about there's no accident when we meet people. God knows perfectly who we're gonna meet and why is His plan. But you comment on my picture or something, and this is how we got connected. And not knowing, I went to your page, I'm like, oh my God, he went through it. But you know, what a beautiful things that you're doing, opening up doors and making education, because we didn't know until we got sick, and then you get to the flu shot. That's when you know, oh, Guillain-Barré, oh, I know that word now, right? So it's like making awareness of what it is, and also it impacts so many of us differently, right? But my message is to anyone and everyone who's going through it or in recovery is that, you know, take your time, listen to your body. Like, there's no need to be like, you know, running to like physically like changing it, but allow yourself to be patient. But also, like you said, every step that you're taking, push a little bit, and then by resting is gonna give you more power, because that was what they used to tell me. My therapist was like, you can't push, because I was like, I want to fix me, I want to fix it, so let me push it more. But sometimes less is more too. So be kind to yourself and know that you could be in the other side pretty soon. If you're in the other side, congratulations. But it gets better. You know, when we're in the dark moment, it doesn't feel like it's going to happen, you know, soon, but it will. So don't give up.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, guys, please make sure that you re-listen to all of this, because there are so many takeaways in this episode. I appreciate everyone listening, watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. We will be sharing more of this throughout the coming weeks. And until next time, everybody, peace out.
Well, thank you, guys.